Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I just have a process video today. And I am starting out here with a stencil that is, I think, a Claudia Helmuth stencil, but don't quote me on that. And also a stamp from Coco Daisy's last month's stamp set. And this is going to be a kitchen cooking layout, as you can tell. And I love this stencil, and I love the fact that there's just so many ways you could use this stencil. And so I'm going to take my Coco Daisy stamp, which is just a bunch of scribbles, and use it to stamp through this stencil. And I was kind of I wanted that kind of 50s retro look to it. That's what the scribbles kind of reminded me of. And so I wasn't sure if when I peeled it away it was going to actually look like a mixer, and it didn't really. So I decided to leave it on there and just do an outline. In retrospect, I wish I would have done a lighter outline. This is a little bit too high of a contrast, but it doesn't look bad. And I work with it and everything, but I think I would have preferred a lighter outline, or maybe even just taken my ink pad and a sponge applicator or something and just kind of inked barely over the edge to kind of shade it or something like that. But that's the nice thing about a stencil, is that you have a lot of different options. And so I'm just going to use the pen to outline it, and then you can really tell when I peel it up what it is. And so I'm liking that, and I go ahead and I want to put one more, and I just make it kind of going off the edge of the page, and do the same thing using the orange. And I just have a regular white cardstock, not any expensive cardstock or anything like that, because this was all I was originally planning to do. But when I get done with this, because of the higher contrast, I do wind up using a spray to kind of blend everything together, and it warps the paper a little bit, but not bad. But if I had known I was going to use spray on this, I probably would have used a different paper to start out with, but it actually worked out just fine. So I'm cleaning off my stencil here. And there's a couple more images on the stencil, so I'm going to use the measuring cup and the rolling pin. So I'm going to put the measuring cup up here, and I'm going to use pink this time, and both of these are the Hero Arts inks. And then I'm going to find a pink pen and also outline this as well, because on the measuring cup there's really not that much space for those squiggly lines to show up to begin with and everything, but I still wanted it to kind of have the same look as the mixer. So you can see there's a few little squiggles at the top, but not a lot. And then there'll be quite a few squiggles showing on this rolling pin because it's got nice wide space there. So I'm just putting my Post-it notes around there. The Post-it notes mask off the other areas and then also help hold it down. And then I'm going around that with my pen. And it does kind of give it a cool retro look to it. So I'm really liking how that's turned out. Yeah, this stencil was one I got at Tuesday Morning, which is pretty cool. That they had, I think is it Crafter Studio? Something like that. But anyhow, so I just clean my stamp and my stencil up and go back. And here's where I was thinking that it looked just a little bit too much contrast. And I needed something to blend them together. So I just got out my gelatos in pink and orange. I'm just scribbling some onto some packaging, adding a little bit of water to it. And, I had a slight concern that my marker would run and it maybe seeped out a little bit, the marker that I used to outline the stencil, but not bad at all. I really liked how it looked, and I love how it kind of splotches around. It's kind of looking like a hot mess right there, which is just what my kitchen looks like when I'm cooking. So worked out. And you can see here it did buckle a little bit, but I wind up matting it onto a piece of cardstock in the end, so it works out just fine. So I'm just drawing that up a little bit. And I'm liking those colors. And then, like I said, I knew I was going to have to mat it on some cardstock. So I go ahead and just trim it down now so I know what I have to work with. And then the papers I'm going to use for the layering of my mats are just really out of my scrap bin. Leftover pieces that I just wanted to kind of get out of the way. I have a little box I put my scraps in that's just building up a little bit too big, so I need to use some of these up. And I either use it for layering on page layouts, or I make mini albums out of them. So the pictures I have here are of some whole wheat biscuits that I made, and I have one where I've rolled it and I'm cutting out the biscuits, one where they're baking, and then one where it's split open with jam on it. And I try really hard to get all three of these, but the one where it's baking, it's still on the cookie sheet, is really dark compared to the one that has jam on it, which is almost, which is highly contrasted and very white. So I wind up getting rid of the one that has so much black on it, because it just doesn't. Once I take that out, everything seems to go a little bit better. So you can see here I'm trying to use all three of them, and I'm just not sure. And I think, well, maybe I'll just mat my main one and then not mat the others. So that's what I go for. And I try inking these two with black to tie that black in, but even that doesn't work either. So that was my thought process there, was to add a little black to the other two, and then to mat the main one. And I wanted to document the fact that I don't usually, or I haven't baked cookies in a long time. I mean, I've baked cookies maybe 3 times in the last 10 years, I guess, just because neither my husband and I need to eat cookies, and yeah, so if they were around, we'd probably want to eat them. And I'm usually just trying to cook food and not desserts. So I was kind of bummed that, I don't get to use all my really cool cookie cutters. I have some old ones, I have some newer ones and stuff like that. So I use my cookie cutters to cut out my biscuits. So when we have biscuits, they may be heart-shaped or flower-shaped or Christmas-shaped. I use my cookie cutters on them. So that makes it fun for me. So now I've gone to just using the 2 photos and matting both of them. So that seems to work better for me. Pulling out some die cut packs. This is the different cooking die cut packs and stickers. That's a Cosmo Cricket that has kind of that retro look that I was going for. There's one, the Paper House. Those epoxy ones are from Oriental Trading. This is a newer one that I got off of a Cherry on Top. That's really cool and retro, but the colors were a little dark. They weren't, they're kind of muted, and they just weren't going very well with the bright white background that I had. So I think about keeping those ones, but I just can't make them quite work. And then this is a really old sheet of Karen Foster cooking stickers that I got at my local scrapbook store back when we actually had a local scrapbook store. And so I just used 2 of the stickers off of that have this bright orange color on them. And I think about putting that one on there, but the orange didn't go. And I do want to bring a touch of red in because I have that red cookie cutter. So I take a little border strip off this Cosmo Cricket sticker sheet and use that. And then I also use these two little kind of starburst, and they have kind of that retro feel to them. So I just put two of those. And that also brings in more of the red. And I think that's all I use off of the Cosmo Cricut sheet. And then these Paper House dimensional stickers. I don't care for dimensional stickers very much because they're too high, too tall. But if you peel them apart, if you peel the layers off, like you can see that measuring cup, I was able to peel it in half, and now I have two measuring cup stickers to use. The rolling pin, I couldn't quite get two out of them, but I did peel the upper layer of that rolling pin off. The measuring spoons, I think I just take off the pop dots completely and just glue it down flat. And then off the sheet, I also use one more that I peel in half and get two stickers out of. Yeah, that Baked with Love. You see, I peel it apart carefully without ripping it. Now I've got two stickers. So I put the other one back on the sheet to use again. And so I'm really liking those little accents on there. And so I go for these thickers that I got at TJ Maxx. And I love these because they have upper and lower case, and they have lots of vowels. I mean, look at how many E's are on there. They're awesome. So I want to put whole wheat biscuits on there. And I didn't put the actual recipe on this layout, and I might go back and just around the outside edge in like pink ink or something write the actual recipe, but I'll have the recipe card in my cooking scrapbook. So that's what this is going into. So I just go ahead and put biscuits kind of matching the top of that pink mat. And the foam thickers have a tendency to want to, when you peel them up, they can warp a little bit, so you kind of have to fuss with them and get them back into shape. So I've got the whole wheat biscuits on there. And let's see, what else do? I think I put some of the Heidi Swap gold ink on here. That's probably where I have gone. Oh no, I got some washi tape, that's right. So I put a little bit of this pink washi tape, which I think is Recollections, because the whole wheat biscuits right in that corner just looked like it was floating a little bit too much. So I'm just going to lift up the top half of my wording and see if I can't slip this washi tape in behind. So I didn't get it down there quite far enough. And that just kind of, I don't know, seemed to work a little better for me. And so now I'm covering up my photos, and I'm going to put the Heidi Swap gold ink, and I'm just going to splatter a little bit of that on there. And I really like that. It just gives it that little tiny bit of sparkle. And then I pull out this pink cardstock, and that's what I'm going to mount the layout on in order to, you know, really flatten it out and stiffen it up. So that goes on there. And I really love the colors of this. It's just very bright and cheerful. And I really love how those stencils turned out. And then I look around for some, I'm thinking of doing it in orange, my journaling, but then I finally just go with the black fine tip pen. I just use that grid paper to write my journaling. And like I said, I may go around the outside edge and write the actual recipe, or I may not. But this is going into my cooking album. So here's a few close-ups of it. And you can see those kind of retro stickers there. You can see the stencils with the Cocoa Daisy scribble stamp in there and the washi tape. And the Baked with Love. So I really love how this turned out. The colors are awesome. I'm just really into a pink and orange phase right now for some reason. And so there is my finished layout. And so if you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.